When one thinks of habits, one thinks of habits of waking up early, habits of having a cigarette, or habits of having a negative experience with a loved one. Habits are not only physical, they are also psychological. And habits have many shapes and many forms. There are visual cues, people, phrases, words, physiological sensations that can invoke in one's mind a particular thought or a particular memory, perhaps a craving for a cigarette or an illicit substance. Habits of thought are almost formulaic and are immediately accessible through the mind's eye, or in other words, the imagination. Habitual thoughts are incredibly powerful because one can, out of habit, think of an unpleasant experience or an unpleasant situation simply out of habit. One can also think of or have the craving of engaging in an activity that can be considered self-destructive. Thoughts that can perpetuate a vice. All of these thoughts are habits of thought. There is a technique that gives you a lot more power over the habits that you can possibly imagine. And habitual thoughts can be changed in a matter of minutes. My name is Efren Rodriguez. This is the Gang Stalking Playbook. And in this channel, we talk about the mind, we talk about gang stalking. However, gang stalking is beginning to be, I'm using these exercises that I'm telling you. And gang stalking is really becoming not the main topic of this channel. It is techniques like this of mind management, where you are able to control aspects of your mind that you didn't know that you actually had control over. If this content entertained you or interested you, please give me a like and subscribe, because I have so many tips and so many techniques for you to actually live the life that you want to live. First, I'm going to explain to you the logic. The mind cannot differentiate between an actual memory and an imagined experience. If you are experiencing, let's say, if you see a person smoking a cigarette, and every time you see a person smoking a cigarette, you think, I want to smoke. In your memory bank, those experiences are saved. So it's going to perpetuate that same habit because you have so many memories of you doing the same thing. However, if you bombard your mind with memories of that same experience, that same trigger, however, when you looked at the person smoking a cigarette, you had the thought, I need to drink some water, instead of having the thought, I want to smoke. If you just replay this same scenario as many variations as you possibly can, and you respond out of a habit, I need to drink some water, whenever you see a person smoking a cigarette. Do this enough times. In a matter of minutes, you can have your mind replay variations of the scenario and of you responding, oh, I think I need some water. Then you are overriding your mind's repertoire of typical reactions to seeing a person smoking a cigarette. You are actually replacing those memories. You are overriding the memories of you looking at a person smoke a cigarette and then thinking, I need to smoke a cigarette. And you are replacing those memories with memories of you thinking, oh, I need to have some water, whenever you see a person having a smoke. Does that make sense? Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit more on how to actually go about this technique. Whenever you have a memory or a thought that you don't want, or a negative emotion triggered by a person, by an object, by a word, a phrase, or a particular situation, pay attention to what exactly is the trigger. Thoughts and memories are typically pulled up by via habit and relevancy. Using your mind's eye, you replay a couple of seconds before the trigger actually happened. The more vivid the imaginated memory, the better. Now, in your mind's eye, go right to the moment before you have the negative thought, the negative emotion, or the negative memory. And instead of having the negative memory in your imaginated recounting of the event, you are going to pull up a positive thought, a positive memory. You have to have a clear idea of the moment or the actual trigger of this memory or the type of situation. So you are literally rewriting the memory to a memory that is helpful. Once you have enough of these instances, variations of the moment, where you have replaced the unwanted memory with a wanted one, a wanted thought, a wanted craving, it will become easier. It's gonna go less against your mind's, I guess, preset direction. I'm gonna give you an example with food. For example, if you are having a hard time when you see people eating donuts around you, and you just saw someone and you had this intense craving for having one, what you want to do is that you remember as many aspects of that situation as possible. You go into your mind's eye and you relive that moment. And when you see the donut, think, ugh, I hate donuts, or think, ugh, I would prefer to have an apple, or I would prefer to have some water, or sweets make me insanely thirsty, I should have a glass of water. And you modify that memory and change the people, change the situation, change the days, change the holiday if it's a holiday, and most importantly, change your physiological reaction. So just imagine yourself actually craving or actually disliking the sweet. Imagine yourself actually craving a water, a glass of water, or a piece of fruit, and then just do that repeatedly. Make it so that you have a lot of memories where you took the action or felt the sensation that you actually want to feel. You have the thought that is actually going to be beneficial, or you pull up the memory that is actually gonna help you feel better. And once you do that enough times, whenever you are in a similar situation, your mind, because it has so much experience taking a certain action or having a certain thought in a situation that used to one time that it made you have this negative sensation, it's gonna be replaced with the new habit that you form in your imagination. This is a way of doing things that takes a lot less willpower to take, because the willpower is already in the situation itself. It's imagined willpower, but it's willpower nonetheless. So let's say, I'm gonna give you another example. Let's say that I want to stop substance abuse. And so let's say that I'm doing that, right? So I think of other instances where I was offered illicit substances, where I was, I guess, where I had the thought, oh, maybe I should engage in this. And what I do is that I just pull up all those memories. And then in my memories, in all of them, as many as I possibly can muster, I think, ugh, that's gross. Ugh, I'm never doing that again. Ugh, that's disgusting. No thanks. And I just replace my reaction that in those memories, and I create countless imaginative situations and scenarios where that was done, where the illicit substance was offered to me, where I was asked, if do you want to engage in this, and I'm like, and in my imagination, I just imagine myself being, ugh, no thanks, not for me. And I literally fuel or rewrite my memories, or add more memories that didn't really exist. However, because the mind doesn't know the difference, I am going to have all that experience, imagined experience. It is experience nonetheless to the mind, where I said no. Therefore, whenever I happen to be in a situation where I would typically say yes, because I have so much experience saying no, and I've done it so many countless of times in my imagination, it's going to be incredibly easy for me to say no to any type of offering of illicit substance or undesired habit or any type of self-destructive behavior. So because I imagine all these situations, the willpower required was already embedded in me saying no all those times, then being imagined or not. Depending on how much practice you have using your mind's eye to recreate scenarios, you can deliberately change habits by living or by creating memories where you said no, where you decided to go to the gym instead of staying home, where you didn't compare yourself to someone when you used to. That is how you change habits of thought. That is how you change habits of, well, any habit really. Is if you can imagine it and you can make it be whatever it is that you want to do, that you want it to be. Because the mind does not differentiate between an actual memory and between an imagined one. The reason that you remember all these negative experiences is because that's pretty much the one thing that is more relevant. So if you create yourself a lot of relevant experiences to those triggers that are imagined, you are not gonna have any time to be dwelling on, or you're not even gonna have any type of drive or desire to dwell on any type of negative experience, because you have bombarded your mind with so many positive ones, with so many imagined ones, that the past is not gonna matter, because the past is literally only a memory, and a memory can be created by just imagining it. Now, you don't have to imagine every single situation. You can select which memories you want to remember. You can select what it is that you want to remember in these changes of habitual thoughts. For example, when someone has asked me, "Oh, do you like drinking?" I do, and that's not a something that I'm going to change. I don't drink at all often, like once a year or something. But anyways, so let's say that that there's times where I was like drunk, right? And that I was a disaster, that I had a lot of those experiences, assuming. However, let's assume that I just got into like a DUI or whatever. I haven't, but let's just assume that. Let's just say that. And let's just say that I want to practice saying no to people that have let's say pushed me into, or not push me into, but what's that word? Suggest to go drinking. And I'm trying to not hang out with people that are trying to suggest that typically. So instead of actually accidentally putting myself in the situation, I can imagine myself encountering these people. And in my imagination, I can use the memories that I have of saying no to some people. And I use those memories instead. Look, this is starting to get a little complicated. I'm going to stop it right here. But the crux of the video is that if you bombard your mind with imagined instances where a trigger was not a trigger, the trigger will stop triggering that unwanted thought, that unwanted emotion, that unwanted craving. And that's the truth. So if, let's say that you see someone and you just get upset and you don't want to feel that way, it's just imagine yourself seeing that person again and then just being like, huh, or being completely indifferent to that person. And imagine that a lot of times, and that's exactly what's going to happen next time you see that person. All right? Anyways, my name is Efren Rodriguez. This is the Gang Stalking Playbook. And in this channel, we talk about the mind, we talk about gang stalking. However, gang stalking is beginning to be, well, I'm using these exercises that I'm telling you. And gang stalking is really becoming not the main topic of this channel. It is techniques like this of mind management, where you are able to control aspects of your mind that you didn't know that you actually had control over. If this content entertained you or interested you, please give me a like and subscribe, because I have so many tips and so many techniques for you to actually live the life that you want to live. Thank you so much for watching. And again, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. Thank you. Bye.